From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Hello and welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Alexis, codename Doc Holliday Jackson. Most importantly, you are here, and that makes this stuff they don't want you to know. It's the top of the week, which means this is our strange news segment. We always find a little something off the beaten path, and we bring it to each other. We'll turn over these ideas. We often will find more questions than we find answers.
That is very true today, with especially one story that we've already kind of touched on,
Right.
but now we're learning more, and just our brains are reeling.
Hey guys, a quick question. Now, I know we're doing video now, and this is like a new thing for us, kind of in this format at least, but when you've got the Zoom open and you know we're doing video, do you find yourself looking at your face and like trying to be more animated? Is this like an active process that you guys have to go through? Because it is for me. I'm just putting it out there. I'm like, I want to look like a human. I don't want to look like a robot. And so I try to look more human.
Yeah, it's funny because as we were gearing up to record, I don't know if you were here when we were off air setting up the Zoom call, but I was saying the exact same thing, or a very similar thing when I was saying, does anybody else find yourself looking at the little thumbnail of your face when you're in one of these calls, and then you're kind of nodding, you're watching your own reactions? Zoom is terrible for narcissistic tendencies.
Yeah.
The species is going to be even worse at the end of this.
Oh my God,
I have some good news, bad news for you, Ben. I am not looking at your face at all for reactions. I am very distracted by what's happening just behind you, over by the door.
Oh, that's right. An Easter egg for our video friends. Yes, I am the reason we started late today, or should I say our returning video accomplice. You know her, you love her from the YouTube days. That is indeed Agent Scully. Took some convincing, but she's joined us in the studio. As you could tell, she's snoozing one off right now, but hopefully we'll get her back in the mix. As soon as we realized we were returning to our video roots, we knew that we couldn't do this without her. And we are back with Kim Jong-un, aka one of the reasons, it's hard for me to wait for this episode, but one of the reasons I was able to take out my old DPRK flag that I bought that I bought near the border. And that's what Agent Scully is reclining against. I don't think you can see it very well. But we brought Kim Jong-un with us in the news today. We recently reported on the ascension of Kim Jong-un's sister, who has been taking over more day-to-day operations for the so-called Hermit Kingdom. This place for a long time was kind of a black box for the world's intelligence agencies. They didn't know very much about what went on there on a daily basis, but they did know that the DPRK did not have oil, so they didn't invade them. And eventually they got nuclear capability, which is another kind of, that and not having oil are two, not foolproof, but they're two things that really lower the likelihood of another country invading you. By which I mean the U.S. They lower the likelihood of the U.S. invading you. So people have always speculated about Kim Jong-un, and when we did our original report about him being missing in action, we said one of the theories was that maybe he had faked video footage, right? Because his debut back from his absence was like a press kit of him at a fertilizer factory.
Mm-hmm.
Footage that could have been filmed at any time, right? And this led a lot of the pundits and the boffins and the eggheads and the wonks in the crowd to speculate like crazy, like mad, and say, well, this is a body double, and this is just the kind of dictator that would do this. He is sick. They don't want to show weakness to the domestic demographics of North Korea. And then other people said, no, he's dead. And someone else said, no, he's not dead. It was a heart attack. And then someone else said, no, he's been in a coma. And so we started talking a little bit, you'll recall, about films like The Death of Stalin and ideas of creating these body doubles. Like we did a pretty interesting series on actual body doubles. They are a real thing. Unfortunately, a lot of them have very painful lives that get cut short. But the news that came out in recent days from one specific source is claiming that, yes, the crazy speculation was right. Kim Jong-un's recent appearances were faked, that he has been in a coma, quote, for months. And so I did some digging on this because anybody who's read about North Korea for any length of time, you know that the propaganda is so strong. A lot of South Korean outlets and a lot of Western outlets especially will just report whatever they think someone had heard. And it becomes an echo chamber of people slightly rephrasing the same story that later turns out not to be completely true. And I got to tell you, I understand it because when I've been at the border, the propaganda, the thing I wish they told more people in the US, the propaganda is really, really strong on the North Korean side, and it's really, really strong on the South Korean side. Like very, very bad and blatant. And you have to watch this informational video at some of these tourist sites, and they're all about how the DMZ is great for birds.
Right. I remember you talking about that.
And that's like a really positive contribution it makes to biodiversity. Anyhow, that's the idea. The report comes from one Jang Sung-min. He is important because he was a former aide to President Kim Dae-jung in South Korea. He was head of the State Affairs Monitoring Office. He probably had access to intelligence operations, SIGINTEL, HUMINTEL. And he insisted recently, Kim Jong-un is comatose, and his sister, Kim Yo-jong, is still running a lot of day-to-day stuff, but she is not technically his successor. He's saying the insiders haven't made that switch yet. But the problem is a lot of people are calling these sources into question.
And I wanted to ask you what you think about something that Jeffrey Lewis said on Twitter, aka @ArmsControlWonk.
Mm-hmm.
He was citing the last 30 days of appearances by Kim Jong-un. He's citing 10 from, I guess, the official Supreme Leaders activities list that I'm assuming is issued by some state arm or outlet there within the DPRK. And there are 10 official appearances, and I haven't actually clicked on it. I was kind of scared to click on it. I wanted to see where it took me. It's a Google Doc. I mean, he's got it all listed out there. It would make you think that the level of disinformation and number of appearances there would feel odd to me. Like that's a lot to put out to feign that he's, actually out there using body doubles or deep fakes or whatever.
I guess, it's weird because you raise an excellent point, but we also have to consider if something like this happened, it would not be the first time information was hidden from the public. And I don't mean the world. I mean specifically in the United States. Woodrow Wilson had a terrible stroke in October of 1919 with almost none of the technology we have today. He was partially paralyzed. He was nearly blind. He spent the final 17 months of the presidency. Oh yeah, he was still president, by the way. Locked away in the White House. He was still president until March of 1921. So the public had no idea of the severity of his condition or his illness. And to me, given that this is a place with a rule by the representatives of the people, that seems like important information. Maybe there's a geopolitical thing that keeps them from saying that, but what hits me about this, no one talking to the media at least, seems to really know what's going on in DPRK. There are a bunch of guesses. But also, before we get on a high horse about that, how much, whether you live in the U.S. or abroad, how much do you know about the day-to-day actions of the folks who are responsible for keeping your country running? It should be a sobering thought.